And, of course, we have the President of the United States talking again about global warming and sea level rise. He gave a big speech again, the empty suit, on the so-called Paris Agreement, speaking of an American in Paris. Our un-American, anti-American president is a big cheerleader for the Paris Agreement because that would strangle business in America. And what could be better for a Bolshevik than to strangle business in America? So now let's tune in for a moment to hear the great genius who never completed a single science course lecturing the world about the Paris Agreement in clip 3.
This gives us the best possible shot to save the one planet we've got.
Ugh.
I know diplomacy can be easy and progress on the world stage can sometimes be slow. But together with steady, persistent effort, with strong, principled American leadership, with optimism and faith and hope, we're proving that it is possible.
It is possible to save the world with a new agreement that will strangle businesses in America. Now, let me give you a little lesson in global warming. I try to do it in Government Zero with a whole chapter on this, and some of you bought it, and some of you read it, and some of you studied the Vostok ice core samples. I'm not going to repeat that chapter because you can read it yourself. I then follow it up in Scorched Earth. You can read that yourself. But I'll give you something that is not in either book. And this is something the President of the United States didn't get while he was studying Revolution 101 at Occidental and Revolution 102 at Columbia and Revolution 103 in the White House. See, Barry, if you had taken a single science course, you will learn, as most fifth graders learned. I don't know where you were in the fifth grade. I think you were studying in a madrasas until a certain grade in Arabic. Do they teach this in Arabic, or is it considered anti-religious to teach science in a madrasas? But you see, Barry, the Earth's oceans have been steadily rising since the end of the last ice age. Now, that's a long time ago. That was before you were born. And I know that anything that occurred before you were born doesn't really exist. It's just a matrix to you. The world really began with you. There was no world before Barry Obama was born, let us say in Kapiolani Hospital, because that's when the world started for the whole world, because there was never a Messiah until him. The fact of the matter is, if he had taken a single science course in the madrasas or Columbia, he would have learned something. He would have learned that the scientists that you continuously quote are just like the scientists, quote unquote, who worked for Joseph Stalin to prove that Stalin's agricultural policies were correct, when in fact Russians were starving to death. There was a scientist named Lysenko who did just that. He perverted genetics itself. I wrote about that in Government Zero. All your scientists right now, your government-trained scientists, are like Lysenko. They are propagandists for your government, Mr. Obama. Now, the fact of the matter is, what's going on with global warming? Absolutely nothing. It's the same thing, my friends, as what went on with Lysenko and Stalin. You see, the Earth's oceans, if you have studied science at all, have been steadily rising since the last ice age. Now, in the beginning, the rise was very, very, very fast and very high. Several hundred feet of sea rising in a few hundred years, Barry, long before you were born. But over the last many thousands of years, Mr. Obama, long before you came along, the rise has only been about 3 millimeters a year. Now, I know you didn't study the metric system, unless the scales at Columbia used to measure certain, let us say, herbs were in the metric scale system. And I know it's hard for you to understand what 3 millimeters is, but it's not 3 feet. It's 3 millimeters a year, Mr. Obama. I know it's very difficult. You didn't study the metric system. But the British and U.S. navies began doing accurate recordings at major ports all around the world about 120 years ago, Mr. Obama. That's long before you came along. So I know it doesn't exist. And by the way, guess what they found, Mr. Obama? The sea level rise has been quite consistent, about 3 millimeters a year. Now, starting in the early 1970s, Mr. Obama, satellite measurements were brought into the world of science. And guess what? Satellite measurements proved that the ever-reliable 3 millimeter a year of sea rise was still going on. Did you hear that? Only the climate hoaxers like Barbara Boxer, Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, who never took a science course, only the green mafia who build energy plants that you know are being built simply for the graft, still push the lies that computer models predict that the rise will soon be 6 to 9 millimeters per year. Now, they keep predicting that it will be 6 to 9 millimeters a year in order to scare us and sell more of their global warming baloney. But the fact is, it's not happening, Mr. Obama. Year after year, only 3 millimeters a year. Do you know what that means? It means Obama is a liar. It means the entire Green Mafia is a criminal enterprise. It means that if, God willing, Donald Trump wins the presidency, this whole scam comes to an end. Now, of course, you're going to hear over the next few days from idiots in the media that the hurricane was caused by global warming. In fact, a few of them have already said it, as I predicted they would. They never miss an opportunity to blame everything on something that doesn't exist. And the fact of the matter is, we've had hurricanes actually before Obama was born. Can you believe that there were actual hurricanes in the world before Barack Obama became president? Can you believe there were actually hurricanes recorded before the industrial age? Oh, yeah, science proves that. History proves it. There were actual hurricanes in the world, especially in the Caribbean, even in Florida, long before the global warmers came along in order to pull the wool over your eyes and empty your pockets even further and print more money. And so, my friends, yes, watch it over the next few days. The storm will hit, the storm won't hit, the storm will be great, the storm won't be great. But they'll blame it inevitably on what? Global warming. And what's the solution going to be? More money for research. More money to protect the sensitive Gaia, the sensitive Earth. Now, that's one of my stories. There are others. Here are some others. Have you dropped your Yahoo account? Should Yahoo executives be imprisoned? Why am I saying that? Because Yahoo secretly scanned customer emails for U.S. intelligence, which means that they did what Snowden did, which means that if this is true, Yahoo executives should be immediately rounded up and arrested as spies, which means they violated the Fourth Amendment rights of all United States citizens, which means that if Trump becomes president, the Yahoo executives better fuel up their Gulf Streams and get out of Dodge because they're going to jail. That's what that means. Here's a few other stories for you. An NSA contractor like Snowden was arrested. Harold Martin III. He allegedly stole secret documents. We'll tell you who Harold Martin III is. Now, that's interesting. We thought that liberal arts colleges were supposed to be liberal. We thought liberal arts colleges were supposed to teach the tenets of liberalism. Well, they are. Their tenets of liberalism is that you can't speak. You must speak only what they say you should speak. That's the new liberalism, which is a form of fascism. Wait, we'll throw this in for you. An NBC reporter has said the UN climate deal is designed to stop hurricanes. Now, that's interesting. NBC's Ron Allen thinks the climate deal is designed to stop storms like Hurricane Matthew. This shows you the level of not only uneducated dolts who are in the American media, but absolutely stupid, drug-addicted morons. I don't know how they get these... Wait a minute, sorry, I back up. Of course I know how they get the jobs. Their bosses are stupider than they are. Now, it gets so bad that a dumb actor... Okay, he's a genius because he's rich and he's got a lot of girlfriends and flies around the world and gets stoned and high and gets a lot of sex. He's a genius. I get it. Has his own plane, he's a genius. Has his own yacht, he's a genius. Gets a lot of money for being a good marionette. I get it. But the genius who never took a science class, Leon DiCaprio, is now an expert on the environment, you see. And he and Obama are just like, I wouldn't say like two peas in a pod. I would say like two bugs in a burrow. They're both bug jobs. So here's Leon DiCaprio telling us that climate deniers should not be allowed to hold public office. Well, I would say idiots like him shouldn't be allowed to act, is what I'd like to say. Now, he's telling us who should hold office now. This is Leon DiCaprio, certified lunatic, loser, playboy, in clip number 5.
This moment is more important than ever. We must empower leaders who not only believe in climate change but are willing to do something about it. The scientific consensus is in, and the argument is now over. If you do not believe in climate change, you do not believe in facts.
Go to hell.
Or empirical truths.
Go to hell.
And therefore, in my humble opinion, should not be allowed to hold public office.
I will never go to another movie that Leon DiCaprio is in. I'm asking you again, listen to me. You have the power over the box office. Never go to another movie that this moron fascist is in. Did you hear what he just said? Do you know what he just said? He said the scientific consensus is in and the argument is now over. Do you know who gave those kinds of blanket statements? The Soviets did. There is no such thing as the scientific argument is over. The first rule that you learn in 5th grade science, and apparently this stupid actor never even took the rudiments of science, that there are no absolutes. That's the first rule of scientific inquiry. Did you know that? There are no absolutes. Do you know what that means? It's something that DiCaprio doesn't know. The argument is over. Science, by definition, is based upon experimentation and observation. So it means that if new observations occur, you alter the last consensus of opinion. But if you say that there's no room for any further scientific investigation, what you're admitting is that your entire premise is built upon lies, or it's so weak that you're afraid of any new truths that may come along. And it shows you how desperate this huckster of a president is, that he would turn to an empty shell like an actor, a well-known playboy who abuses the environment, a disgrace of a human being, has no knowledge of what he speaks, and yet this huckster of a president, who is a front for the Green Mafia, as well as a front for so many other things that this country sorely does not need, that he hires a dumb actor to go tell us that anyone who doesn't believe in global warming, do you know what the word believe means? Believe. Is that science, or is this voodoo? It's voodoo. It's not science.
Join the Savage Nation.